Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda and welcome to this important episode of Ignition Time. Folks, in this video, I'll give you 4 reasons why I think we need big stimulus right now. These are my observations with the current state of the economy, so hopefully you'll learn something valuable from this video. In fact, you can use the information from this video and talk to your local lawmaker. As you know, I've been covering all the negotiations that have been going on, all the chess games, if you will. Here's a chessboard on your screen with the key players: President Biden, House Speaker Pelosi, the new Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and the bane of his existence, the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. I've been covering everything that's been going on with all of these individuals. In fact, here's a brand new article on your screen from Bloomberg, and you can see the headline of the article, and it reads, Biden vows no retreat on the $1,400 stimulus checks, but he's open to tightening the rules. He's open to tightening the thresholds. I have actually done another video on my thoughts as to whether the stimulus threshold for the $1,400 stimulus checks should be lowered from $75,000 down to $50,000 or not. It is my opinion that the threshold should not be lowered. And I've given you several reasons about that, and hopefully you can check out that video as well. As you know, the Democrats, the American Rescue Plan, they want a $1.9 trillion package. The Republicans have proposed a $618 billion package. Very small, 1/3 of what the Democrats have proposed. The Republican plan includes $0 for state and local funding, and the Democratic plan includes $360 billion. But folks, in this video, like I promised, I'm going to give you 4 reasons why I think big stimulus makes sense right now. Let's start with the first reason, the low cost of borrowing money. Now, I want you folks to try and understand one simple financial concept. Today's money is more valuable than tomorrow's money. Why? Because with inflation, and average inflation rates about 2% a year, the purchasing power of your dollars reduces. So if it costs $100 to buy something, next year it's going to cost you $102. The year after that, it's going to cost you $104 to buy the same thing. So essentially, tomorrow's dollars are weaker than today's dollars, which is why if we borrow today and then we pay back that money in the future with weaker dollars, we're actually in an advantageous position. I do the same thing with all the real estate I buy. I buy single family homes and I pay 3% on the money that I borrow, but then with my rent, I'm making 15, in some cases 20%. When I buy stocks, I don't do a lot of margin trading, but if I ever use margin, I'm paying 1 to 1.5% on the margin money that I borrow, and I'm making 30, 40, in some cases 50% on the money that I borrow. So folks, interest rates are at historic lows right now. Interest rates are very low, and it makes sense to borrow money because of the low cost of borrowing money right now. I believe that we should essentially borrow the money now, and then as the economy recovers, we will be able to make our way out of this. The second reason, folks, and this is very important, is the poor and the middle class need help right now. The poor and the middle class don't care about the deficit. They don't care about the debt. They're hungry. People need to be fed. Children need to be fed. You have bills to pay. You've got to keep the lights on. You've got to pay rent. Those things can't wait for the future. Those are needs that we have here and now. So the poor and the middle class need help now. Now, this brings me to the third point, which is the rich. The wealthy can be taxed to pay off all this debt in the future. Yep, the wealthy can indeed afford to pay higher taxes. In fact, the wealthy can afford to hire accountants and a financial advisory team to avoid paying taxes. So the fact is, we can tax the rich to pay for this debt in the future. Large companies, CEOs who make millions of dollars, companies who have hundreds of millions of dollars overseas, those companies should be taxed. There are many ways to tax trillions and trillions of dollars in corporate income, which should help pay off the debt over the next 10 to 15 years. So it is possible to change the tax code so that the wealthy pay more than their fair share of taxes, because we know for a fact that our system has the poor and the middle class paying more income taxes relative to the wealthy. In fact, folks, I want you to understand that because the wealthy can hire financial advisors, they can hire accountants, they can hire individuals that can help them find loopholes in tax laws. I can give you an example. If you buy a single family home, you're allowed to depreciate the value of the home every year. And as you depreciate the value of the home, all the rental income that you get is fundamentally tax-free after all the depreciations, after all the deductions. There's nothing illegal about this. This is perfectly legal because the tax code and the tax laws are written that way. If you create jobs or if you buy real estate, you're going to get preferential tax treatment from the IRS. Because folks, fundamentally what the government does not want to do is be responsible for job creation, be responsible for housing. So if you create jobs, if you create housing, you get preferential treatment. You don't become a regular income taxpayer, you become a super taxpayer where you can legitimately have deductions and end up paying less tax. So maybe the government needs to find a way to tax individuals who have unfair tax deductions. Maybe the government needs to find a way to plug those tax loopholes, which is exactly what the Biden administration is trying. Folks, look, if I have to pay more income taxes, I'm okay with that. But fundamentally, people who need help the most should get it. And unfortunately, because of our capitalist system, the lower and the middle class end up paying significantly more taxes as a proportion of their overall income compared to the wealthy, who are able to write off many things, who are able to have many deductions and pay a minute amount of taxes relative to their entire income. That is fundamentally why our system in many ways is rigged and it is flawed. And finally, folks, I want to highlight that more spending will lead to more economic growth. That in turn will lead to more job creation. Now, what do I mean by this? If the poor and the middle class get more money to spend, they can go out there and they can buy food, they can buy groceries, they can pay their light bills, they can pay rent. This money then makes its way throughout the economy. When you go and buy something at a local diner, at a local restaurant, at a local grocery store, you're supporting jobs in that local establishment, and then those jobs allow those individuals to earn income, and then they can go and spend that money elsewhere. Folks, this is why spending is so important. In fact, when stimulus money goes to the rich, and I have highlighted this in another video on our channel, when stimulus money goes to the rich, they tend to save money. When stimulus money goes to the poor, they tend to spend money. So you have the rich up here. When they get stimulus money, they save it. You have the poor down here. When they get stimulus money, they spend it. In fact, the question arises, why should the rich even get stimulus money? So this goes back to the overall structure of our economy, where it's important to spend more money so that leads to more economic growth, and then that leads to more job creation. So therefore, I believe that big stimulus is the way to go because of these 4 reasons. Let me show you the 4 reasons again on your screen. The 4 reasons are: number 1, low cost of borrowing money. Number 2, the poor and the middle class need help right now. Number 3, the rich can indeed afford to pay more in taxes. And number 4, more spending as opposed to more saving will lead to more economic growth, which in turn will lead to more job creation, which will lead to the overall recovery of our economy. Let me know what you think of these 4 points in the comment section below. I appreciate you watching. If you learned something new, please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I would greatly appreciate that. That would mean a lot to me. That really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.